nation's favourite antiques experts.
Yes, a good weight.
And it smells.
Oh, steady, behind the wheel of a classic car.
Good morning, my lady.
Good morning, Parker.
And a goal to scour Britain for antiques. Whoopsie.
Come on.
The aim to make the biggest profit at auction. But it's no mean feat. There'll be worthy winners.
And valiant losers.
Will it be the high road to glory?
It's about winning.
Or the low road to disaster? Pop, pop. This is the Antiques Road Trip. Yee-haw!
Farmer's World.
Farmer's World, just look at it.
Look at this, Farmer.
It's beauty.
You have been forged in a very beautiful landscape.
Yep. Road trip companions James Braxton and Izzy Balmer are out in their fabulous 1978 MGB and enjoying the ups and downs of Izzy's native Derbyshire, where James is keen to fit in.
If I went into a shop, how would I address the person?
You will be addressed as a duck or a love or a ducky. So, you know, thanks, especially after a thank you. Thanks, duck, thanks, lovey, or you're right, duck, you're right, love.
Oh, that's really nice. So they're open people in Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Smiley, lovely people.
Well, have you met me?
I have.
Our auctioneering duo set forth from Woodbridge and have meandered around the B-roads of East Anglia and then headed inland and north on their way to a final auction in Lincoln. What a trip.
So, blow me down, Ducky. You've overtaken me, haven't you? Hey?
James, I won!
You see, I thought we'd get this. General crime.
Having both started with £200, James slipped a gear last time, but still begins his last leg with a healthy £355 and 88p. While Izzy pipped him at the post last time and is now out in front with £365 and 2p at her disposal. A lead of just under £10. Exciting.
What would a wee ducky laddie, what would he buy in Derbyshire?
So you've got Derbyshire, you've got Blue John, and it's the only place
Who's
in
Blue
the
John?
world.
Who's John?
It's a gemstone.
Who's John?
It's Blue John. It's the
You mean Derbyshire Felspar? That one?
Yes.
I want to be like you, Izzy, and buy low, sell high.
But you taught me that.
Well, it seems to have gone. My mojo has gone.
Time for some yoga.
Just think about your core.
Have you seen my downward-facing dog?
Push that tummy out.
And I could be yes. Okay, push the tummy out. Okay, I could do that.
Ah, that's better. Namaste. En route through Derbyshire to that last auction in Lincoln, Izzy and James's first stop is in the village of Hena in the Amber Valley. An ancient settlement where £41 and 4p, as recorded in the Doomsday Book. James and Izzy's pockets are jingling with 21st century riches, and they're off to spend them this morning at Hena Antiques.
Look at this. I'm really excited.
I'm really excited.
Now remember, you've got to spend up.
I'm going to spend up.
Are you?
Spending
You
up.
promise?
I will do my very best.
Look me
I shall
closely.
endeavour.
Endeavour?
Yes.
It doesn't sound very committed.
He's off already.
This place is enormous, so there's loads to see, and they're not likely to bump into each other anytime soon. And I've no idea why she's playing about with that guitar when there's this amount of stuff to trawl through. Time to get serious, girl.
Just look at that. I've just discovered an entire cabinet of Blue John, and as sad as this is, I have got butterflies in my stomach. I mean, just look at it.
Steady.
How on earth am I going to decide which one piece to buy? I mean, this is me. How am I going to make a decision?
Oh dear, Miss Indecisive is back. I wonder where she'd gone.
Dave, I've got a serious case of indecision going on. I mean, I quite like these earrings. Dave, I also like this one. I like that gorgeous piece of Blue John here. Look at that one. Right, I need to stop. Right, Dave, I need to make a decision. I mean, oh my goodness me.
You should have gone on a decision-making course, I think.
Poor Dave.
I've just seen this one. When I say I got a bit overwhelmed, but I love it. I mean, it's just a beautiful piece of Blue John, and it's Victorian. It's in a classic style where you've got this rub over setting and our rope twists around here. I mean, I just cannot wax lyrical about how typically Victorian it is.
The ticket price is £69. Dave's off to call the dealer.
I can't make a decision.
Do you know, we noticed.
£50.
£50 for the Victorian Blue John brooch. That seems really fair to me.
While Izzy considers her Blue John dilemma, how's Mr. Braxton dealing with the considerable acreage of this establishment presided over by Jane?
This is one of the biggest antique centres I've ever been to.
Well, it's built on 4 levels.
Four
which
levels.
are disguised, and there's 250 traders in here.
Are they graded accordingly? Do you start in the basement,
Yes, yeah,
Jane?
the naughty ones end up on the top.
The naughty ones on the top. Like the back of the class. I know you antique dealers, you like to keep things aside. Have you got anything aside, Jane?
Yeah, I've got a couple of bits that I could show you in the office, yeah.
Oh, come on, leave me to the... Where's your office?
Just here?
Come on, I'll sneak round. Don't tell Izzy, OK?
Ooh.
She's miles away and seems to have found something else.
Dave, it's a silver toast rack. It's Sheffield, 1943. So it's got some age to it. You do see a lot of toast racks sort of made in the 30s and the 40s.
Yep.
I think that must have been the time that ladies had their breakfast in bed whilst the men went downstairs to read the newspaper. But I don't know, there is just something very luxurious about this. However, Dave, I have an issue with the price, going to be honest. £72, far too much for me. I would need absolute, I mean, really rock bottom price. I've just put it out there. If this could be £40, that could be a deal.
I'll go and see what I can do for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Not so indecisive there. Must just be Blue John that goes to her head.
Jane, show me your goodies. What have you got?
Now, what's stashed away in Jane's office?
Right, I've got
The bargains have begun.
It's a print, but it was originally done in pen and ink. A Georgian one called the Bustle.
So that's a sort of one of those rather fun fashion prints,
Yes,
isn't it?
it would have gone in a newspaper.
But it looks cartoon, so
Yeah,
you've
it's
got a rather sort of poor
Yeah, I think this
ugly
is the
lady here.
artist on here, look.
Escardo.
It's a nice piece.
How much is something like that?
That one I've got on at 45.
Look at the corsets.
Yeah, painful.
God, I didn't think I couldn't squeeze into that. Right, okay, that's food for thought.
Then I've got a couple of newspapers
With
here.
newspapers, normally they're commemorating things like V-Day or royal weddings, aren't they? How old are these ones?
These ones are dated 1794.
Well, that's
So
quite,
they're
that's
very
quite,
old.
That's
yeah.
quite old, isn't
and
it?
you've got a Nottingham Journal.
That's older than most countries.
Yeah,
Jane.
Nottingham Journal, Lincoln, Rutland and Stamford Mercury.
Hey, we're going to Lincoln.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
Yes.
But even 1794, amazing. Something as 1794.
Amazing to have survived, but they were all wrapped up in here.
Wanted in a private family, an active, steady woman in the capacity of housekeeper and cook who will have a servant under her.
There you go.
Meanwhile, how's Izzy's man, Dave, getting on with the price on that toast rack?
Hello.
Hi there. Got very close.
What did you do?
45.
Well, you only live once, Dave, and I've been looking for a toast rack all road trip, so let's do it.
Correct.
This is the most
Okay.
indecisive I've been. No, decisive. This is the most decisive I've been.
She can't even decide if she's being indecisive. Blue John or bust, I say.
None of the brooches that I've bought, I don't think any of them have made me any money. I think I've lost on every single one, which I know kind of isn't the name of the game, but I kind of don't care.
The rest of us have reached that stage too.
I'll get you some money.
That's £95 to Dave, who can now go and lie in a darkened room. And Izzy's work here is done. How's James getting on, haggling over the headlines of the 1790s?
They're quite nice, aren't they?
£30 a lot.
£30 a lot. And how many are you getting for that?
5 for £30.
5 for £30. 5 for £20.
Go on then.
Come on, Jane. Well done. I'm tempted by the bustle as well. I like that. The more I look at it, the more I like that.
Yes,
could I
it's
squeeze
good.
you on that, Jane? What could you do?
30?
25? You sat in the
Go on then.
Good examples there of early publishing. Interesting choices, James.
Why make that 45? Excellent. There we are.
He looks very chuffed anyway. Izzy's on a journey back to the age of steam now, a few miles north of Butterley, near Ripley, home to the Swanwick Junction Museum complex. She's meeting Kate Watts from the Princess Royal Class Locomotive Trust.
Hello, Izzy. Hi, Kate. Hi. What a spectacular entrance. I know, it's beautiful, isn't it?
The Trust's West Shed houses lovingly restored steam locomotives and carriages, and Kate's going to show Izzy a saloon car with quite a story to tell.
Right, well, it was built in 1920 for the chairman of the London and North Western Railway Company. It's got 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, lounge and dining room.
So this was a state-of-the-art train carriage?
It definitely was, yes. It was almost like a private jet, so very sort of prestigious and showing the wealth and power of the important railway officials of the time.
This saloon car speaks of wealth and style, decked out in the finest fashionable Art Deco fixtures and fittings money could buy in the 1920s, and put at the disposal of royalty and other VIPs.
It's very luxurious, isn't it?
It certainly is. You've got the lovely Art Deco style light fittings on the ceiling.
Nice.
And the inlaid marquetry on the wood panelling, and then the hand-carved floral decorations as well.
There is another story to carriage 45000, however. She has a very distinguished war record.
This carriage may have been one of the carriages used on a very special and top secret at the time train used by Winston Churchill in the Second World War, specifically the days leading up to the D-Day invasions in June 1944. We know that he definitely travelled on a very special train from London down to Droxford, a quiet country station in Hampshire near the south coast in Portsmouth. This was also very close to Southwark House, where General Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander, was based, and where all the very momentous decisions and planning was taking place for the D-Day invasions.
That's incredible. So the turning point of World War II may well have been planned in this very carriage.
The Trust acquired the carriage in 2003 and have painstakingly recreated how these quarters might have looked in June 1944 as Churchill and Allied leaders gathered and the longest day unfolded.
Why was Winston Churchill aboard a train rather than in the War Office in London?
He'd actually expressed a wish to be witnessing the invasions on the deck of HMS Belfast, the flagship of the naval fleet. When he said that, the King George, he said he would like to be there as well. And obviously the thought of having the monarch and the Prime Minister together in the same place at the same time during such a potentially dangerous episode obviously horrified members of the government. So Winston Churchill was made reluctantly to back down from that plan. So being on a train near to the action, near to Portsmouth, where all the naval preparations were taking place, was sort of like a consolation prize that he could at least be close-ish to the action, even if he wasn't in the middle of it.
Churchill's carriage won't be going on any missions today, but the 1624 from Swanwick Junction is on time, and Izzy and Kate are hopping on.
Kate, this is epic! On a moving steam locomotive. But what happened to the carriage after the war?
Right, well, it had a long working life right up until 1989. It was used by Winston Churchill in his election campaign in 1951, but then it became increasingly used by various members of the royal family. It was used by the Queen, Prince Philip, Prince Charles, the list goes on. So it was really had a long life with lots of important people using it until it was withdrawn from service.
And full steam ahead for James as he takes the road south to Belper, where they're hard as nails. Some 500 workshops were manufacturing nails here by the late 1700s to meet demand from the new mills of the Industrial Revolution. And James is off to the former Unity Mill, now housing Derwent-side Home Centre and Antiques.
Hello.
Hello.
James.
Caroline, nice to meet you.
Very good to meet you.
Welcome to Derwent-side Mill.
Caroline, can I have a look round?
It's our pleasure for you to do so. And if you need a hand with anything, Just give me a shout.
Lots of stalls here on several floors, offering a huge stock of antique, vintage, retro and architectural salvage.
So what have we got here? We've got, oh, this is rather interesting. We've got a far surround, and I see £15 here, £15 here. These are the two jambs, so these are the uprights that would go either side of a fireplace. That's rather tempting. Somebody's painted this all white. Originally black slate, and then we've got a nice bit of marble here. Rather nice inset here. That seems rather cheap, £15 each. But it may be cheap because, you know, there are constituent parts to a far surround. And I think I'm going to have to find out what we've got here. So I'm just going to lay this down here. That's that one. And then I'm going to pick up this one. This looks intact as well. So they're the important ones. They're the ones you look at, really. This is a blackened face. That's probably maybe the front. And then we're going to put that on top. They're both the same measurement. And there's a lot you can do with plaster of Paris. Quite out of breath, it is heavy. If you could get that for around £25, £30, that seems rather cheap. Caroline.
Yes.
Help. I rather like this. We've got this far surround. It's been all white painted. And I was thinking, you know, 25 quid.
Oh, no.
No?
No.
What could you do
Way
on
too low.
What could you do on that, Caroline?
I was thinking more of 40.
Steady, Caroline. Tell you what, I'll strike a deal with you. £30. Put it there.
No, it's no.
Come on.
No.
No? What are you doing? Come on.
37?
35, my final. Come on.
Go on, then.
Yeah, Mother, don't you?
She certainly
Oh,
did.
dear, oh dear.
Caroline wasn't giving an Ashbourne slate far surround away for nothing. Pay up, James.
I feel slightly wrung out now, Caroline. I feel slightly exhausted. Oh, I hope it makes a profit, Caroline.
I'm sure it will.
If it doesn't, I'm going to write a strong letter.
Oh, there's nothing like a strong letter.
Keep the green ink on standby. And with today's purchases stowed and Izzy duly collected, they're off to dinner. What might be on the menu tonight?
I mean, it's got to be the Bakewell pudding, James. Bakewell pudding, Bakewell tart.
A moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips.
I mean, speak for yourself, James.
I got snake-like hips.
James Braxton, a.k.a. Elvis. Uh-huh. Nighty-night. It's a fine morning in the Peak District, and Gina Lollobrigida is back behind the wheel.
One moment I'm sitting next to Izzy Barmer, the next moment I'm sitting next to a very possible look-alike of Her Majesty the Queen.
Oh, he is rotten.
I don't know whether to call you Izzy or Mom.
I will respond to either.
She's almost too good-natured, isn't she? But then, maybe she can afford to be.
Last day of shopping today, James.
I know, a lot hinges on this.
A lot does hinge. Either you're going to come out on top or I'm going to come out on top.
I know, you're leading.
Yesterday, she was thrilled with the purchase of some Blue John.
Oh, just look at it!
And after also buying a toast rack, she has £270 and 2p left to spend.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, James fancied some 200-year-old newspapers.
That's older than most countries.
Yeah.
And also shelled out for a lithograph and a slate far surround, as you do.
I feel slightly wrung out now, Caroline. I feel slightly exhausted.
Leaving him with a budget of £275 and 88p. And on they go to journey's end.
I do love driving this car.
I think it's made for you.
I think it's made for me.
You look very fine in it,
I mean,
Your Majesty.
Time to dump that charmer for a while, eh? Izzy's bound to the northern end of Dovedale and the lovely village of Hartington, where she's off to see what she can unearth at the very classy-sounding Dauphin Antiques.
Jan!
Hi,
Izzy.
Yes,
Hi,
I'm
pleased to
Izzy.
meet you.
You also.
What a splendid array of stuff. That's Henry VIII? Santa Claus? James Braxton.
Ooh. This is really beautiful, actually. So I would say it's a 17th or 18th century mixing bowl, probably made out of a fruit wood, and it's all hand carved. You can see like the chiseled effect here. It has had some woodworm, but it's all been treated. The age of this is staggering. This may well have been around during the Great Fire of London in 1666. This is something that actually is within my price limit. It's priced at £80. I mean, personally, I just want to hand over £80 right now.
Crazy talk. Go on, at least finish looking round.
It's a 17th century pestle and mortar. It's bronze. I can tell this straight away. A, by the colour, B, by the weight, and C, because it's absolutely freezing cold and isn't warming up to my touch. This could have been used by a herbalist or an apothecary to grind up the medication and the herbs that they used to put in the masks for the Black Death to ward off the evil spirits that they believed it was caused by. It's got some really naive carving on the front, which has been worn down over time. It's priced at £60. Again, to me, that seems very reasonable because this is hundreds of years old, but I'm not going to tell Jan that, and I'm going to see if I can get a better price on it. Jan, I'm hoping you haven't just been listening to what I've been saying.
Not at all.
This is priced at £60. What could it be?
45.
Thank you very much. I shall have a little think. There was just one more item that I wanted to go and have a look at, and then I promise I will come to a decision. Well, I've discovered some chairs.
She always does.
And not just one, but two. My luck with chairs has been dwindling, and I'm still devastated that my gorgeous Suffolk armchair made a small loss. But I mean, I can't finish this road trip without buying another chair, can I? And what better way to finish than by buying two? What would be, for a Derbyshire girl, the absolute very best you could do on these?
Well, I do want you to win. 40.
£40. I mean, I'm just going to say deal here and now. Thank you
Lovely.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got my chairs. I got two chairs. The only problem is I need to decide on what else I'm going to buy.
The bowl or the pestle and mortar?
In a rare moment of decision-making and spontaneity, I'm going to get both. So I'm going to buy all three items from Jan, and then I don't have to make a decision.
What kind of bulk discount can Jan offer?
45 on the pestle and mortar, 40 on the chairs, and 40 on the mixing bowl.
That's generous. Don't bite her hand off.
OK, so I make that 125.
Correct. Now, be off with you before she changes her mind.
I think I've absolutely aced it. So I'm going to go and see if I can find some local delicacies to celebrate.
Sounds good. Meanwhile, the first stop for James today is 20 miles southwest to the Derwent Valley Mills UNESCO Heritage Site and the village of Cromford, where the Industrial Revolution took a leap forward. The Arkwright Society's head of heritage, Hannah Steggles, explains how this mill developed in the late 18th century, mechanising cotton production.
So you had a supply and demand issue where the weavers were able to weave their cloth a lot quicker than the spinners could spin the thread for it. So lots of people in the mid-18th century were trying to mechanise cotton spinning because there was a huge demand for spun cotton.
So the weavers were ahead of the spinners.
Absolutely, which was the essence of the Industrial Revolution. Somebody improves the process somewhere, somebody else has to do something to catch up with it. That's where you hear the name Richard Arkwright. He stepped into that gap and came up with what became known as the water frame.
The water frame. So the water frame produced strong yarn.
It did, it produced strong yarn, and the other advantage over Hargreaves Spinning Jenny was that it was really simple to use, so you could employ unskilled labour like women and children who were nice and cheap to employ in your factory.
The son of a Preston tailor, Richard Arkwright was originally apprenticed to a barber and wig maker before revealing his talent for invention.
That time in Lancashire, lots of people were trying to create a machine to spin cotton. So Arkwright became aware of this as a potentially profitable idea. He was interested in machinery, and he had a very fortunate meeting with a gentleman clockmaker called John Kay, who was also trying to develop a cotton spinning machine.
Arkwright and Kay developed a horse-powered machine before falling out. It was Arkwright who saw the possibilities of creating bigger machines by harnessing the power of water.
So Arkwright Arkwright came to Cromford because he had an area of land that he could lease to build his mill on, but most importantly had the water rights to two sources of water, the Bonsall Brook, which is just in front of us, and also the Cromford Sough. Sadly, it doesn't flow into the mill anymore today, but it was the water channel from the lead mine, so it flowed underground, which provided him with a constant supply of water all year round because allegedly it never froze.
Having secured backing for his scheme, the 5-storey mill at Cromford opened in 1772, running 24 hours a day.
You can see there's 4 bobbins along the front of this machine. By the time Arkwright had finished perfecting his machine, they were 24 bobbins wide. They came back to back, so they were 48 bobbins, and they always came as a pair. So you had 96 bobbins on a water frame spinning cotton at any one time. So hugely impressive. But essentially you had one sort of main overseer overlooking the whole machine, rather than one lady spinning on a spinning wheel at home and just producing one spindle worth of cotton at a time.
The success of his early production line made Arkwright very rich, holding shares in 100 other mills in Britain and abroad. His achievements were recognised in high places.
He was knighted by the King in 1786 and became Sir Richard Arkwright, so he did tremendously well for himself.
And did his fellow aristocrats welcome him?
Not so much, no. I think his sort of common Lancashire accent and his less than fashionable clothing set him aside from the rest of the gentry. And so apparently they were sniggering as he went and got his knighthood. But he responded in possibly the best way he could have done by saying, well, can you pay off the national debt? No, well, I can. And he'd made that amount of fortune from everything he'd achieved with his cotton spinning empire.
So it's a real rags to riches story, isn't it?
It really is. He actually died the richest commoner in the whole of the country, and it was allegedly worth about $500,000 at the time of his death, which is obviously considerably more now.
Arkwright died in 1792, but his mill produced cotton for 70 years, and the building survive now as a monument to a pioneer of Britain's industrialisation and those who toiled in its workplaces. Back now to our very own Miss Moneybags, who's still in Hartington, deviating from antique shops to artisan food shops. Oh yes.
Would you like to try a bit of Stilton?
Oh, yes, please.
I'll give you a taste of the Dovedale Blue as well. This one's got a creamy texture.
A Derbyshire treat in the bag, then. But she doesn't seem to be done with the local fare yet.
I've got a friend and he's never had Bakewell pudding.
Really? Never? An original Bakewell pudding?
An original Bakewell pudding. So
Wow.
he's had Bakewell tart and he's convinced that that's the best.
No, completely different.
The pudding is made with puff pastry and filled with an egg and almond paste.
Nom. So good.
Buon appetito, as they probably say in Derbyshire. And while Izzy's been stocking her larder, James has made his way to his last shop of the day, and indeed this trip. The final emporium is in Matlock, once one of several spa towns in the Peak District. And James will be calling at Matlock Antiques and Collectibles Centre. 70 dealers trading over 3 floors, a busy place with lots to look at.
Hello, James.
Steve.
Good to meet you, Steve.
And you too.
What have we got here?
Well, you've got like a mantle clock, probably Edwardian.
Yeah. Dive this out.
Certainly.
What a great shape, isn't it? It's very sort of flower-shaped, very much of the period, isn't it? So we've got gilt metal bum feet. What's the movement like? Well, it's nice condition, lovely blued steel in there, isn't it?
It's a reasonably good runner. Obviously, they need to settle. You know, if you move them about too much.
I know. As soon as you look at a clock, generally it stops, doesn't it?
Yeah, they like to. They like a nice home and probably steady, quite flat, even.
Yeah.
You know, if you start moving them about a bit, they get upset.
Bit like James.
Also, I'm quite interested in this. This is rather fun. I remember selling a big collection of these, and we used to call these gems.
Right.
I think it was a sort of cottage industry, probably in Birmingham, and which made these souvenir ware, and it was to do with sort of scenes, local scenes. Yeah. That's rather fun. Parliament houses, instead of Houses of Parliament, and they were sort of slightly glittery. It's got some merit. What sort of price have you got on it? 45?
I think we've got 45 on it.
Yeah. And then you've got your clock there. And what sort of price could that be?
What price have we got on that one? It's 145, I believe. I could do that for 110.
110. If you're going to buy a clock, you want to buy something different.
Definitely.
Could you do 85 on it?
On the clock?
Yeah.
I could do 95.
95. And the gem? Could you do that at 30?
And, no, I couldn't do the gem at 30. I could do that at 35 on the gem.
35 on the gem. I'll tell you what, Steve, I'll give you 35 on the gem, but I'll give you 90 on that. Could you do 90?
We've got a deal.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. No, I'm really pleased with that. Two very stylish lots. So that's 90, 35, I make that 125.
So do I. Your carriage awaits. And what have we learned today?
This is where the Industrial Revolution was happening. Not in London, here.
Up in the Midlands.
Up
All
in
the
the
excitement
Midlands.
in the Midlands.
Izzy.
James,
Which
how long
Elizabeth
have you
the Queen.
spent with
No,
me?
it's Elizabeth the Queen and Lizzie. You see?
That was a
It
good
is.
save.
It's having an effect on me. Your Majesty, sorry. How are the horses?
Home, James. And don't spare those horses. See you after some shut-eye, you two petals. The sun is shining on the beautiful and historic cathedral city of Lincoln this morning, and this is the last destination on James and Izzy's trip. They're headed to auctioneers Golding, Young and Moore for a final reckoning, and very nice it'll be too.
Last auction, James.
Well, best of luck, Izzy.
You also. Not too much, though.
I'll need it.
The denizens of this ancient place are out in force today, which bodes well for our rivals. James parted with £205 for 5 lots.
This is lovely. It's just ever so elegant, really. It's a bit like James. I can see why he's gone for this. He's a man of quality and taste, and he's picked an elegant timepiece, although I don't think his waistline is quite like this. But I do really like that.
Izzy, meanwhile, spent £220 on her 5 lots.
Seek and thou shalt find. Izzy, the Derbyshire girl, she went back home and she was keen to find a bit of Blue John. She found it, but in a brooch. Now, I've cautioned Izzy before about buying brooches, but I'm in no position to caution anybody at the moment. I am trailing, so I better keep it stung.
Let's ask the very, very nice auctioneer Colin Young what he thinks.
It would be unfair to say that the slate fire surround is my least favourite, because it isn't even a favourite.
Ouch.
Well, the pestle and mortar is quite good. When it comes to the quality, there's more to this than meets the eye. Nice design round the side. There's a good saying, bought well is half sold. So it's all going to come down to one thing. How much did they pay for it?
Quite. Now, while Colin gets his gavel, James and Izzy can take their seats. What's that? Smell of sweaty feet?
You're going to have cheese first and then pudding, or pudding first and then cheese?
Well, goodness sake, we're British, aren't we? Dear, oh dear. What's happening to this erosion of our life? Cheers. Thank you.
Are you converted from a tart to a pudding?
I'm a pudding man from now on.
Ah, moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips, eh? On with the auction, and first up is James's mahogany and metal timepiece.
80, 50 to go then, surely.
Oh, look at it, it's gorgeous.
50 pound bid, 55 now, at 50 pound a bid, 5
50,
pounds, and let's
50
get on.
pounds.
55, bid 60 now. I took the room first, 55, 65, 65, 70 now. Any more bids? 70 bid, 75 now. 75, let's keep going, 75, 80 and 5 now. No, that was a definite no. Any more bids? Last call for the Art Nouveau then, selling in the room at £80.
I'm trying to think of a timepiece-related pun.
Timepiece. Your time is up, I'd
The time
say.
is up.
Not looking good. Well, it's early days.
I warned you at the very, very start of that first auction when you were leaping ahead. I said you were the hare and I was the tortoise.
Don't get too cocky, Missy. There's a long way to go. Let's see how her aged fruitwood bowl does then.
10 is bid, 10 bid, 10 bid, 12
£10.
bid, 15 bid, 18 now, 18 bid, 18, 20 bid, 2
Too
bid,
much
25
already.
bid, 28 bid, 30 bid.
But it's
at
lovely,
£30,
James.
32 now,
It's
have
lovely,
30
it's
at
working
Golden
out.
Young Live at £30 bid. It's online here then.
Oh,
at 30
James,
bid,
it's looking
coming
like
back
a
now.
horse.
At 30 bid, 2 now for the room then, hammers up at £30, and I'm going to sell, make no mistake, at £30.
Well, that was disappointing, James. It was beautiful.
It was a lovely bar. I'm not smiling.
Both £10 down then. Dear, oh dear.
It was a bargain.
Bargain. Well, that's what auctions are about. It's all about the bargain.
1798. Read all about it. James's historical newspapers are next under the hammer.
£20, some good historic stuff in there. £20, all right, halve it, 15. Good, you are listening. £15, anybody? £15. £10, 10, anybody?
In my position, I can't get. Can you please bid?
Can I bid for you?
10 to bid, 12 now, surely. At 10 to 10, 12 now to a C, at 10 to bid, are we all done?
The internet would be live with this history.
Various other titles at 10 bid, all done, finished. Then last call then goes back row at £10.
There is time
Could
to
be
pull it
my
back.
road trip could be coming to a close here.
Brexit. Read all about it.
I thought they were going to do quite well.
I thought they were. I'm genuinely surprised.
Time to see how Izzy gets on with her Victorian Blue John brooch.
40 bid, 40 bid, 5 to a C now, 45, 48, 55,
need more.
65, 75 to a C now, 75 bid, 80 bid, 5, 90, 5, 95 bid, 5 to a C now. At 90, don't slow down now.
Don't slow down,
90
no.
Bid, 5 now to a C, at 90 bid, I'll offer you 2 then if it's going to help.
Yes,
at
please.
£90 bid, 2 for anybody else then, £90, 2, I have
very
another
good,
go
well
now.
done.
The bid's over here, we're online, the hammer's up.
Made a
Well
profit.
done. Well done.
A brooch that made
Well
a
done.
profit.
Well done.
And a goodly one at that. And it puts her ahead.
Lovely piece. Well done.
Oh, I'm so chuffed.
Will James's Ashbourne slate fireplace help him rise from the ashes?
30 to go then, surely, 30, 20, £20.
I mean,
He's still trying to catch the first
Yeah.
bidder. It doesn't look
Got
good.
to be £10. Just
do you reckon he'll go down to £5? That could be an auction, an antiques road trip first for us.
£5.
5, he's going down to 5.
£5.
£5.
6 now to a C. At £5, it
going
only
up in
takes
pounds,
one to spark
James.
it. Now we need the fire. That's 5
Almost sums up my latter part of the road trip.
That's £5. Well, that appears to be the end of that one. Are we sure? It's yours before you change your mind.
How much was that?
He said £5, it's yours before you change your mind.
Cheeky, cheeky.
Yeah, but funny. That really was a bit of a disaster, but it looks ghastly.
I felt almost slighted, vaguely robbed.
Sorry, I'll try and be a bit more sympathetic. It is a real shame.
Next up is Izzy's silver toast rack.
£50, only £10 a slice. £50. All right, bid me 30 to go then, surely. £30, 30 and 20. Tenner to go then. Tenner back to the room at 10 bid, at 10, 12 bid, 50 bid, 18 bid, 20 bid, 2 bid, 5 bid, 28 now. At 28 bid, a bid, 30.
It's a lovely
2
item.
bid, 5 bid, 38 now. Standing bid, back of the room has it. We sell at £38.
Oh dear.
That should have made it
Has Izzy Balmer's luck run out?
Not compared to yours, James.
How does a tortoise walk? A sort of like a swimming motion, like that. Heaving their body.
Is this your best tortoise impression?
It is. I do many. I do a very good walrus one as well.
I've seen it when you get out of the car.
The great sea lion.
Just as well he can boast some other talents today. Let's see if he can claw back something with his lithograph now.
Start me at £50 for a hustle for the bus.
I like his optimistic starting prices.
I know, it does.
Yeah, he does try.
20, £20 everybody, £20 quickly, £20, 10. Surely we can't go any lower.
no, there's
10
a
is
bid of
big.
10.
12 now to a seat. 10 at the back of the room.
Izzy, I can't bear to look anymore.
I'll do it for you. You don't look, and I'll
I
tell
have 10
you.
in the room then.
Got 10 in
Hammers
the
up.
room.
Maiden bid has it. 12 bid.
12.
15
I'm not
bid,
finding this
18
as
bid,
terrible
20
as you.
bid,
Oh, it's
two,
got
no.
20.
At 20 bid a bid, 2 for anybody else now.
That's
20
almost
bid
there.
last
Good
call,
jump.
then Hammers up. Sells then at 20 in the room.
It's still a small loss.
Yeah, but it's the fourth one in a row.
Oh, that's a bit disappointing.
It is disappointing, so I've lost some money there.
Now moving on to Izzy's George III oak and elm chairs.
They're beautiful objects, and they've been held together by their stretchers. They've got an amazing amount of stretchers on them.
50, £50 bid, 55 now, do I see it? 50 bid, 5 for anybody else out, 50 at the back of the room.
I didn't touch the mouse, actually, to be honest.
£50, the hammer's up at £50, are we all done? Anybody else joining in? Maiden bid takes it. That scared them all off. Maiden bid has it, takes them then at £50.
£50? They've just sold for 50. Come on, you've got to concentrate. They're your
How did
lots.
that just happen?
Because you weren't paying attention, that's why.
That was like my swan song, and my last chairs, and they've just gone. Poof.
Can James save the day with his last lot? The brass tatter with painted gem.
At 30 bid, any more now than at £30 I have a maiden bid. At 30 bid, but it's my only one. 35. 38
more
now.
than that.
38 bid, do I see now? 38. 40,
No, I
two
don't think
now.
he's done
At
it yet.
£40 bid, 2 for anybody else now then. At £40. Any more now? You sure you finished in the second row then? We sell then. Hammers up at £40.
Anyway,
Am I celebrating or commiserating? I don't know what to do right now.
Try not to smirk too much, that's the secret.
another fiver in the old pocket, eh?
It's better than going backwards.
Will it be a complete pounding for James now that Izzy's last lot, the pestle and mortar, are coming up?
50 but a bid, 5 now, do I see it? 50 but a bid, 5 now, do I see it? 50 but a bid, 5 surely. 55, 5 bid, 60 bid, 5, 70, 5, 80, 5, 90 and 5.
He's got his hand up.
95, 100, 100 bid, 10 bid, 110 now.
100
110, 120, 130. 30 bid now, 30 do I see now, 130 bid, 140 bid, 150 now, 140 is bid, standing with a 140, 50 do I see now then, 140 in the room then, hammers up and I will sell 50 or not, last call, 150 back in, 160 bid, that was a definite no this time, 160 standing bid, sells.
Well done, Izzy.
Yes!
That is very good.
No. Credit where credit's due. It's excellent.
Even a man not having a full grip of English would understand that you're probably the winner.
Maybe. Maybe.
Let's go to the counting house and find out. James gambled on some very interesting purchases and lost money on all but one. So, after auction costs, the contents of his piggy add up to £277.98. Novice Izzy stuffed her piggy full and ends up, after sale room fees, with a big fat £446.78. And we crown her queen of her inaugural road trip. All final profits go to children in need.
It's been great fun, apart from the ritual humiliation of the last couple of auctions. But putting that aside, I think lunch is better.
Your treat.
Your treat.
Izzy and James were well matched. There was a rocky road.
Oh, break!
Yeah, it is helpful.
And other cake.
Nice firm crust, you little miracle.
It was a workout.
You know, who needs to go to the gym? Make a pot.
It was a roller coaster.
Stop laughing.
For first-timer Izzy, there was the sweet smell of success.
Ooh, try taking Grandad out.
Have I remembered my teeth?
Arrivederci. Next time, two more fresh-faced experts take to the road.
Roo?
Angus?
How are you?
It'll be an epic trip for Angus Ashworth and Rue Irvin.
That is delicious.
Kicking off in Northern Ireland.
Well, welcome. Is this especially for me?
No.
All right, thanks.
It'll be a blast.